People come from all walks of life. They all have lives they lead. Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Hello everyone, welcome to the show. As a rule, I am really uncomfortable approaching people I don't know or people I don't know that well. However, with doing this show, it's kind of changed that a little bit. I went to hear our guest speak and I thought, wow, this guy's really interesting. I'd like to invite him on the show. So I approached him and I asked him if he'd want to be on and he said yes.
I
so
did.
Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Fassbender.
Hi.
Thanks. I'm really glad you accepted the invitation, by the way.
I was so excited to have you invite me, and as we were previously discussing, I'm also quite a nervous person. I call myself an introverted extrovert.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how Karen Bondar defined me too.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could tell we were kindred spirits because we like to hide out in the shadows and listen, but then when we get our moment, we like to hold court, and I think that's cool.
Exactly. I want to ask you, by the way, what's the origin of your last name?
Fassbender is German.
Oh, it is, eh?
So it's there's a very famous German weirdo director named Rainer Werner Fassbender.
Right.
And some say that my family is related somewhat, but our names are actually spelled differently.
Okay.
When Fassbender came over to the Atlantic to Canada, the I got changed to an E. Yeah. So our name is Fassbender, not ear.
And that happens a lot, right, when people come from other countries.
Totally.
At a very young age, you became interested in everything to do with the cinema.
Yeah.
Right? So what age were you talking about, and how did you start?
Well, you know, cinema, it was very young, like in my single-digit years.
Oh, okay.
Because it was kind of the relationship. I didn't live with my dad, but the relationship I did have with my dad was one where my dad was in his 20s, and maybe he was introducing me as a child to things that were a little bit beyond my understanding. Mm-hmm. And but I guess as we watched visually, I was kind of taken by the medium, and then I recall moreover going to a show, like a stage show with my dad,
right,
when I was 12 years old, and subsequently became my friend, this woman named Andrea House, this amazing singer. She's a folk singer now, but she was doing this musical, and she did her 11 o'clock number, the big number at the end of the show. And I remember at 12 years old leaning over to my dad and saying, "This is what I want to do." And literally the next year, I was on the same stage. I had gotten myself into the professional theater world.
Right.
Like somehow I just made it my goal, and I was like, I'm going to do this. Now I was just like a little ad cast kid in a professional play, but
right.
But I literally was just inspired in the moment, and a year later it made it happen. And,
that is so cool.
And it's all gone downhill from there.
No, I know that's not true. I just have a list of some of the things that you do. You do video editing?
Mainly
right?
now, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I know you're on a project currently, right?
Yeah.
Although by the time this airs, you'll be finished that project, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, in fact, the project is delivered. It's going to be on CBC Documentary Channel in the spring. It's
right.
called Who Farted?
Right.
It's an environmental feature film, environmental documentary feature film.
So this is your project, your own project?
Mm-mm. It's a project that was started 10 years ago by a guy who eventually made it here to Chilliwack, moved to Chilliwack.
Okay.
He's the director, the co-director and producer. His name's Nick Sheehan, and his production company is called Cell Production. But he got it all, the funding all started, and then moved to Chilliwack in the midst of that, and literally produced this whole film from Chilliwack. And I ended up getting the job. I got the job I was in India, and I answered an email in India wondering, of all the times for this really cool job to be posted in my home community of Chilliwack, that I know that I'm probably the most qualified to get. And here I am in India for the next 2 months. Oh. And I thought, well, they're probably going to be done by the time I got home. And it literally just all fell like a roller coaster. Like, I emailed him, I showed him my demo. He said, when are you coming back? I said, I'm coming back at such and such date. And he was like, oh my goodness, that's when I need you. So it just kind of started. And then I met all of you guys and the community of Chilliwack and went, oh, wow, look at all this great work that's happening. And I want to be involved in all of it.
Me too. It's exciting. So we were just talking about off camera, your acting jobs that you've had or how you got into performing. Are you still doing acting?
I'm still an actor. I'd still call myself an actor. I'll go to an audition. I'm just not seeking it out. It's where it once was all important. If I get to act again, then great. If I don't, then there's lots of other stuff for me to be doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I forgot to ask you how you got into video editing to begin with.
Yeah, it was my dad, who's also a filmmaker. He suggested this place called the Maine Media Workshop in Maine in the United States. He had talked to a friend of his who had been there in the 70s. I thought, I'd always thought about directing. Mm-hmm. And my dad talked me out of directing. He said, guess what, Chris? Everybody wants to be a director. He said, there's not a lot of people who are specifically editing. And he convinced me. He said, just specialize in something. Then I went to school, and I hate talking about myself in positive ways. But I got to work with these amazing editors, one of them being this man named Don Cambern, who even got nominated for Academy Awards, and he a really amazing editor. And he just took a shine to me. And then I realized, maybe I'm good at this. And I realized all the work that I had done with my acting, which I thought, this is worthless now. 20 years just out the window. And I went, oh no, it's all good stuff. It all lends to, I could take a performance of an actor that maybe wasn't great, and I could edit it into something really good. And my teacher recognized that, and he went, you should do this. And so I came home with a lot of confidence from school and decided, my dad was right. I'm going to go hunting for that. Having more skills in this industry, I mean, it, even as an actor, you can add skills, and you just get more work.
Yeah.
The more you can do, the more work you're going to get in the arts, especially.
Tell me about Yellow House Studio.
Before I even found my partner, he's an engineer named Sonny Rosa. He lives in Chilliwack as well. He's an amazing person and really talented. But before I met him, my inclination was to create a Boys and Girls Club. A place where you could become a boy or a girl when you go up there and make art or play music or play games. It was just going to be a place for the community to be and create, and we decided to monetize it and turn it into our job. And I'll tell you in about a year if that goes well.
Well, if not that, I can just see it though, even if it, I don't mean it that way. I think it will go well, but I'm just thinking that if it doesn't, you're just going to morph into something else.
Exactly.
Right?
It just keeps happening though, right? That's life though.
Yeah, of course. And then when you're interested in something, and because you have that kind of wide range of abilities, because I know you do sound editing as well as film, video editing, and so you have all of that. So you have all these.
So important these days. It's why I think that I'm getting the calls now. For instance, the documentary project that I'm working on, full feature film, CBC documentary channel, big project, and they asked me to do some things, and I just said yes. I just went, yes, I'll do it. And my boss really likes it too, because it's all in-house now. We can sit in his office and work on so many different aspects of the film, whether it's the literal film we're working on, the marketing of the film, the devising of how things will be printed, or just stuff like that, where if I say no, then they just farm it out to somebody else.
For sure.
And they get that money.
Yeah.
And now I get the money if I just say yes and add to my skill set.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love talking to you, but we're out of time.
Oh, that's
know,
too bad.
I
Well,
know.
we could spend the whole day here, but maybe one day you can come to my place.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time. In the meantime, peace out.